Hi, welcome back to Blue Mountain Bushcraft and Outdoors. Today we have a gauntlet review / product development think tank video for a brand new knife from LT Wright. This is the LT Wright Prototype J1. This is a collaboration design between LT and Chris Tanner. So if you want to see this bad boy, stay tuned. Okay, so what do I mean by a design think tank? Well, Chris at Prepared Mind 101 designed this knife, and he went to LT Wright, and I believe through his pout house actually had LT build it. So this is a much more refined custom version of an LT Wright knife than you would get normally. There's some added fit and finish touches to this that don't normally come on LT's production knives. So let's take a look at it a little more closely, and I'll continue to talk about that. So Chris designed this thing, LT built it, and when Chris got it, he just was not convinced that it was right. Sometimes between the drawing board and the actual production, things pop up, come into hand that just don't seem to make sense to you. So Chris got this and it looks gorgeous, but there were just some things about it that he was like, I don't know. So instead of just scrapping it or living with it and shelving it, he decided to throw this knife into the gauntlet, pass it around, and see what all of us can come up with to make this into a knife that you guys might want to buy. It might be usable. Okay, so let's just take a look at some basic specifications here. The blade itself is about 7 inches. We've got actual 7 inches of cutting surface. The handle comes in right about 6.5, and from pommel to tip, you're looking at about 13.5 inches overall. Stock is 3/16 of an inch thick. It's got a high saber grind and a drop point. Now, if this handle looks familiar to you, well, it should. Chris got the design of the handle from the Jessmuck. The Jessmuck obviously is a much smaller knife, and the handle on this is just outstanding. It fits my hand very well. It's extremely comfortable. So Chris wanted to translate that handle into this knife. Unfortunately, the way this is right now, it just doesn't translate. Holding the knife like this, moderately comfortable. I don't know if you can see where this swell is, comes right up into the middle of my middle finger. It's not uncomfortable by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not all that either. Choking back here for a chopping grip doesn't feel bad, but the grip's very broad. It's rounded enough, but in use there are some hot spots during heavy cutting that come up right in here, right through this corner here. Even though that's rounded off very nicely, for whatever reason, that still pushes into the meat of my thumb, causes issues. Now, this is coming out of LT's pout house, so the fit and the finish on this is nothing short of exquisite. It's phenomenal. LT has done just an amazing job. you put your hand on this and it just feels like it's all one. There's no seams, there's no edges anywhere. It just feels fantastic. And a sticking point for me with a lot of knives is this area right in here. Your hand butts up into it. A lot of production, semi-production knives, even some of LT's own knives, leave these edges sharp, and those can dig into your hand. Well, there's no sharp edges here. This thing is literally, it's exquisite. The way this is built is just beautiful. So my issues with this knife are certainly not one of quality, because the quality is phenomenal. I forgot to mention, I believe this is 01 tool steel. But everything is perfectly executed. The problem comes in is, as I see it, there's a design flaw in the handle. So, and I think that's pretty much where Chris sees it too. What can we do to fix that? Let's take a look at a successful design that's already out there. This is my Tahoma field knife, and when you pick these up, there is a decided difference in the feel. This LT Wright knife is extremely handle heavy, and you can see why. It's got a full tang, it's got thick micarta scales, and I do not believe that the tang is skeletonized in any way. So it's very substantial. It's strong, no doubt it's strong, but it's very handle heavy, and it's substantially heavier than this competing design. Let's take a look at another difference between the handles here. These handles are thinner, there's less material, so it weighs less. But they're also less refined. I mean, let's face it, this is vastly more attractive than these are. However, these offer a lot more grip. There's just more purchase there. So the fit and the finish, well, I shouldn't say the fit, but the finish on this actually works against it in my opinion. And I'll show you a little bit of chopping here as I'm talking. This wants to slide right out of your hand. You would have to have a lanyard in here to even think about chopping with this for any length of time, because it's just so slippery that slightest deviation in your grip and this thing's going to come squirting out like a banana. So essentially what we have here is basically really just issues with the handle. See, between these two knives, there is a whole lot of similarity, right? It's just in the way these handles are executed where this begins to have problems. Let's take this bad boy off of the table and refocus on this one. So here are my thoughts. As beautiful and as pretty as this is, it's too polished. It's just too darn slippery for a knife of this size, and it's going to be put through hard use. There's just nothing to purchase onto here. It's just slick. It's gorgeous, but it works against the design. Second thing that I'd like to see is a thinning of these handles and some way to re-radius this edge. So I know you can't see it in here, and I don't know how else to describe it, and I can show it to you on film as I'm using it, but it's not going to translate because you just can't feel it. But where it interfaces with the meat of your hand right here, it's just not comfortable under heavy use. Under normal use it's fine, but under heavy use it's not good. I'd actually like to see a little more curvature and bend in here, along with maybe a little bit of a hook, kind of like what Wright did with their SCHF 51 and 52, or a bulb, or some way that you can choke back on this thing, lock this into your hand, and really use it. Because that Wright and the Tahoma that we just looked at excel at that, and that would really transform the chopping ability of this blade. Those are my thoughts on how to improve this. Skeletonize the steel under the handle, recontour this, thin it out, a little bit more of a pronounced downward curve here, and a tactile method to really get a purchase on the butt of the knife for when you're choked back for heavy duty chopping. I think that if we were able to incorporate those, this knife would be absolutely killer, because this blade profile rocks. This high grind leaves a relatively thin edge. It's still got plenty of meat on it. It's plenty strong, but it does knife stuff really well. So let's roll in some footage of that. Okay, so as you can see, the knife has an extremely strong tip, will withstand some fairly heavy-duty prying, actually stabs pretty well. The blade profile is excellent. It's got great bite when it's chopping. The spine is wickedly sharp, and you know, this is the quality of knife that we've come to expect from LT Wright. Things that we don't like, at least the things that I don't like. Let's start at the tip and work our way back. From here to about here, no issues at all. I love the blade. I like the geometry, I like the way it cuts. I would like to see a portion back here that is rounded out on these corners just a little bit, just because this spine is so absolutely aggressive that it gets painful when you put a thumb on it if you're doing carving work. Most of the changes need to come back here, and I think that if that happens, this thing will be a killer mid-size heavy-duty survival knife, because I love the blade. Alright, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about, just for a second, the sheath that this came in. This is from Yellowhawk Customs, and it's fantastic. It's beautifully made, well designed. Got a real nice dangler set up, place for a 1/2-inch ferro rod, and this pretty cool little feature down here. I've seen Gary at C2G Fab do something very similar a while back for a sharpening stone. This one actually utilizes one of these little live fire type tins for keeping some tinder in. So that's a pretty good idea. Anyway, the video is not about the sheath, but I wanted to mention it just because the sheath is so darn nice. Doug really does a phenomenal job with his sheaths. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you for the LT Wright J1 Prototype. So comments down below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to follow this and see what the other guys think about it, make sure you log into www.thegauntlet.tv, find the link for the J1, and follow along. All of the Gauntlet reviewers will be posting their reviews up there, and you'll be able to follow along very easily. Make sure you leave me some comments down below. I really do want to hear your thoughts on this. And if you like the video, if you like this concept for product development videos, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button and follow along. Alright guys, that's it for today. See ya. Bye.